The cabin smells like my grandfather's aftershave and 30 years of dust. Every creak of the floorboards beneath my feet sends my pulse racing, a constant reminder that safety is an illusion I can't afford to believe in anymore. 5 days. That's how long Lily and I have been here, hidden away in this forgotten hunting retreat that no one in my family wanted after Grandpa died. 5 days of rationing bottled water and canned soup. 5 days of jumping at every sound the wind makes through the trees. 5 days of lying to my 4-year-old daughter about when we can go home. "Mommy, I'm bored," Lily whines from the threadbare couch, clutching the stuffed elephant I'd grabbed during our midnight escape from the apartment. The apartment that no longer feels like home. The apartment where men with cold eyes had started watching from across the street. "Let's make shadow puppets," I say, forcing brightness into my voice as I light one of our dwindling supply of candles. The electricity died on day 3, and I haven't dared go into town for supplies. "Want to see a bunny?" Ksh. Lily's giggle is the only beautiful sound in this nightmare. I shape my hands into rabbit ears against the cabin wall, making them hop and dance while my daughter claps. For a moment, just a moment, I can almost pretend we're camping, that this is an adventure, not desperation. Then my phone vibrates in my pocket, my hands freeze mid-puppet. The burner phone I bought with cash 3 towns over, the number I gave to no one, buzzes insistently against my hip. Lily doesn't notice my sudden tension, too absorbed in trying to make her own shadow animals. With trembling fingers, I pull out the phone. One new message. Unknown number. "Running only makes this harder, Olivia." The room tilts sideways. My lungs forget how to work. How did anyone find this number? I'd been so careful. Cash only, back roads, no contact with anyone from my old life. Marcus had been dead for 6 months, and I'd thought his debts died with him. I was wrong, Mummy. Lily's voice sounds far away. "Your face looks scary." I force a smile that feels like cracking glass. "I'm fine, sweetheart. Why don't you draw a picture?" "Use the crayons we bought yesterday." While Lily settles on the floor with her paper and crayons, I move to the window, my heart hammering so hard I can feel it in my throat. The forest outside is darkening, shadows growing long between the pine trees. Nothing moves except branches swaying in the evening breeze. Maybe it's a wrong number. Maybe 3 knocks on the door. Precise, unhurried, deliberate. The sound freezes me in place. We're miles from the nearest neighbor. No one should know we're here. No one should be knocking like they have every right to expect an answer. "Mummy?" Lily's crayon stops moving. A man's voice cuts through the wooden door. Smooth as aged whiskey, and twice as dangerous. "I know you're in there. Olivia." My name on his lips. This stranger who shouldn't exist sends ice flooding through my veins. Open the door before I'm forced to damage this charming property. Something about his tone, the absolute certainty that I will comply, sparks a flare of defiance through my terror. I grab the kitchen knife I've kept within reach since we arrived, my fingers wrapping around the handle with desperate strength. "Stay behind me, baby," I whisper to Lily, positioning myself between her and the door. "Don't make a sound." The knock comes again, patient, inevitable. 5 seconds. Olivia. My hand shakes as I reach for the doorknob. Every instinct screams to run, to grab Lily and flee through the back window. But where would we go? "If he found me here, he'll find me anywhere." I yank open the door, knife held in front of me like a talisman against evil. The man standing on my grandfather's porch steals the breath from my lungs. He's not what I expected, not some thuggish criminal in a leather jacket. He's immaculately dressed in a charcoal suit that probably costs more than my car. Dark hair swept back from a face that could have been carved from marble. Beautiful in the way dangerous things often are. Sharp edges and perfect symmetry. Behind him, a black SUV with tinted windows idles in the clearing, a hulking figure standing guard beside it. But it's his eyes that pin me in place. Dark, intense. Missing nothing as they sweep from my face to the knife in my trembling hand and back again. His mouth curves in the ghost of a smile. "Planning to cook dinner?" he asks, his accented voice deceptively light. "Who are you?" I demand, hating the tremor in my voice but refusing to back down. What do you want? Those dark eyes hold mine, and I see something flicker in their depths. Recognition, possession, hunger. My name is Dante Moretti, he says, as if I should know exactly who that is. What I want, Olivia, is very simple. He takes one step forward, and despite myself, I retreat. I want what your husband promised me 2 years ago. Marcus never told me he owed anyone named Dante Moretti. Then again, Marcus never told me much of anything before a random mugging. That's what the police called. It left him bleeding out on a downtown sidewalk 6 months ago. I don't know what my husband promised you, I say, my voice steadier than my hands. But he's dead. Whatever debt he owed died with him. Dante Moretti's expression doesn't change, but something flickers in those dark eyes. Amusement? Pity? I can't tell, and that terrifies me more than anger would have. That's where you're wrong, Olivia. He steps fully into the cabin, and despite the knife between us, we both know I won't use it. Can't use it. Your husband borrowed a substantial amount of money from me. The terms were generous, but they included certain ... provisions. What kind of provisions? The question comes out as barely a whisper. An introduction. His gaze travels over my face like he's memorizing every detail. One dinner, one conversation, chance to meet the woman I'd seen across a ballroom and couldn't forget. My mind races, trying to make sense of his words. You're saying Marcus agreed to what? Pimp out his wife to settle a debt? I'm saying I saw you once at a charity event and I wanted to know you. Dante's voice drops lower, more intimate. Your husband took my money and disappeared with you instead. Changed your name. Moved across the city. Hid you like a treasure he knew someone else would claim. The cabin suddenly feels too small, the air too thin. This can't be real. This man can't have been obsessed with me for years based on a single glimpse at some event I barely remember attending. You're insane, I breathe. Perhaps. That ghost of a smile again. But I'm also the only thing standing between you and the crack of gunfire shatters the moment. Dante moves with liquid grace, gun appearing in his hand from beneath his jacket as he pivots toward the window. Get down, he commands, his voice transformed from velvet to steel. Now, I don't think. I drop to the floor, crawling toward Lily, who's frozen in terror by the couch. Another shot rings out, closer this time, and wood splinters above our heads. The Kozlov family, Dante says, his eyes scanning the darkening forest through the window. His bodyguard from outside appears in the doorway, weapon drawn. They're early. I was hoping to have this conversation finished before they arrived. Who? I can't finish the question. Too busy covering Lily's body with mine. The people Marcus really stole from. Dante glances at me, and for the first time I see something that might be concern in his expression. Unlike me, they have no interest in conversation, or in keeping you alive long enough to extract information you probably don't have. The sound of car engines grows louder. Multiple vehicles approaching fast. My mind can't process what's happening. This was supposed to be safe, hidden, far from whatever violence Marcus had dragged into our lives. You have a choice, Olivia, Dante says, and the calm certainty in his voice is somehow more terrifying than the gunfire. Come with me now, and you and your daughter live. Stay here, and you become a tragic news story about a widow and child caught in gang crossfire. Mummy. I'm scared, Lily whimpers against my chest. Everything in me screams not to trust this stranger, this criminal who claims to have been obsessed with me for years. But the alternative is men with guns who have no reason to let us survive. 15 seconds, Dante says, checking something on his phone. Then my window for extraction closes. I look at my daughter's terrified face, at the splintered wood from bullets meant for us, at Dante Moretti, who somehow represents both salvation and damnation. All right, I hear myself say. We'll come with you. Dante nods once, sharp and definitive. Marco, he calls to his bodyguard, secure the vehicles. Clear path to SUV -2. I stand on shaking legs, pulling Lily into my arms. She buries her face in my neck, and I can feel her small body trembling. The knife I'd held so desperately has fallen somewhere, forgotten and useless. Dante moves toward us and I instinctively step back. He pauses, something unreadable crossing his features. "I need to carry her," he says quietly. "You can't run fast enough with her in your arms, and we will need to run." "No." The word comes out fierce and maternal. "I'll carry my own daughter." More gunshots. Glass shatters. Men's voices shouting in a language I don't understand. Dante's jaw tightens, but he doesn't argue. Instead, he positions himself between us and the door, his body a shield. "Stay directly behind me. When I say move, you move." "Understood?" I nod, clutching Lily tighter. We burst through the door into chaos. The clearing is lit by headlights from multiple vehicles, dark figures moving between them. Dante's gun barks twice and someone screams. His bodyguard provides cover fire as we run for the black SUV. Lily's weight drags at my arms, my breath coming in gasps. "We're not going to make it. We're too slow, too exposed." Strong arms lift Lily from me before I can protest. Dante has her, his body curving protectively around her small form as he runs with inhuman speed toward the vehicle. I follow, my legs burning, terror giving me strength I didn't know I had. The SUV door opens. Dante deposits Lily inside, then his hand closes around my arm, pulling me in after her. I stumble into the leather interior as he slides in beside us, the door slamming shut as bullets ping off reinforced metal. "Go," Dante orders, and the vehicle lurches forward. I pull Lily onto my lap, checking her frantically for injuries. She's crying but unharmed, her small hands clutching my shirt with desperate strength. "You're okay, baby," I murmur, pressing kisses to her hair. "We're okay. We're safe. But are we?" I look up to find Dante watching us, his dark eyes intense even in the dim interior. There's something in his expression as he studies Lily's tear-streaked face, something I can't quite identify. "She has your eyes," he says softly, almost to himself. Then his gaze locks with mine. "Everything else, though?" "She favors her father." The strange note in his voice makes my stomach clench, but before I can question it, he's already turning away, speaking rapidly into his phone in that language I don't understand. And I'm left holding my daughter, speeding into the night with a man who's either saved us or claimed us. I'm not sure which possibility terrifies me more. I wake in silk sheets that cost more than my monthly rent used to. For a disorienting moment, I don't remember where I am, then memory crashes back. The cabin, gunfire, Dante Moretti. I sit up with a jolt. "Lily, the space beside me is empty." Panic floods through me as I scramble out of bed, calling her name louder. The bedroom is stunning, cream and gold, French doors opening to a balcony, but I don't care about luxury. I only care about finding my daughter. The door opens before I reach it. An elegant woman in her 60s appears, silver hair pulled into a neat bun. "Mrs. Chun," she introduces herself calmly. "Your daughter is having breakfast with Mr. Moretti on the terrace." She woke early and was quite insistent about exploring. Relief makes my knees weak, quickly followed by anger. He took her without asking me. "Mr. Moretti thought it best to let you rest." Something like sympathy flickers across her face. "The terrace is at the end of the hall." "I've left clothes in your closet." The casual way she says this, as if it's normal for Dante to have women's clothing in my exact size, really sends a chill through me. How long has he been planning this? I find jeans and a cashmere sweater that fit perfectly. Another unsettling detail I don't have time to process. The hallway reveals Dante's world-original artwork, antique furniture, wealth so old it doesn't need to announce itself. I push through double doors onto a stone terrace overlooking manicured gardens. And there sits Dante Moretti with my daughter on his lap. The sight stops me cold. Lily is giggling as he helps her spear a strawberry with her fork, his dark head bent close to her blonde one. The tableau is so domestic, so gentle, that I can't reconcile it with the man who killed people last night. "Mummy!" Lily spots me, running over with flushed cheeks. "Mr. Dante has horses and a pool and ducks by the lake." I crouch to hug her, checking for any sign of distress. But she looks happier than I've seen her in months. Good morning, Olivia, Dante says, standing with formal courtesy. He's immaculate in dark slacks and a white shirt, looking ready for a business meeting. I trust you slept well? You should have woken me, I say sharply before taking my daughter. You needed rest. He gestures to the empty chair. Please join us, it's not a request. Everything about Dante is like that courtesy masking control. I take the seat, lifting Lily onto my lap. A server appears silently, pouring coffee before disappearing. Your daughter is quite intelligent, Dante observes, those dark eyes studying me. She's been telling me about her elephant adventures. Mr. Elephant went to space and met nice aliens, Lily informs me solemnly. I'm sure Mr. Dante has more important things to do, I say pointedly. On the contrary, I found her stories fascinating. His jaw tightens slightly, particularly the parts about her father. My hand stills on Lily's hair. What did you tell him? Just that Daddy's in heaven and used to read me stories. The tension in Dante's expression suggests there's more to this. He leans forward slightly. Perhaps Lily would like to see the horses. Mrs. Chung can take her to the stables. Horses. Lily bounces excitedly. Every instinct screams to keep her close. But Dante's eyes tell me he needs to speak privately, and Lily shouldn't hear it. The stables are visible from here, he adds quietly. You'll be able to see her the entire time. After a tense moment, I nod. Mrs. Chun appears and leads a chattering Lily down into the garden. The moment they're out of earshot, Dante's careful courtesy falls away. We need to talk about your husband, he says, his voice hard. About what he really was. My hands tighten around my coffee cup. Marcus is dead. Whatever he was doesn't matter anymore. It matters when the Kozlov family believes you have something that belongs to them. His eyes bore into mine. Something Marcus stole before he died. I don't have anything. I know. He leans forward. But they don't. And they won't stop until they've eliminated everyone who might know where it is. The garden below suddenly feels too far away. What did Marcus steal? Information. Names, accounts, evidence of activities that could destroy their entire organization. Dante's voice is clinical. Your husband wasn't a financial consultant, Olivia. He was their bookkeeper. He had access to everything. The world tilts. That's impossible. Marcus worked for Meridian Financial, a shell company the Kozlovs use for money laundering. Dante's expression holds no sympathy. When he realized how deep he was, he stole their files and came to me, ostensibly for a loan. Really for protection, and you gave it to him. My voice sounds distant. I gave him money because of you. The raw honesty in his tone makes me look up sharply. Because he agreed to introduce us. One dinner. One chance to meet the woman I'd seen at a charity event and couldn't forget. That's insane, perhaps. His phone vibrates. He glances at it, and something dark crosses his face. But it's the truth. Your husband took my money and hid you from me. Changed your name, moved you across the city. He knew exactly what you'd become to me. Before I can respond, his phone rings. The expression that replaces his intensity makes my blood run cold. He strides from the terrace, already speaking in rapid Russian. And I'm left watching Lily pet a horse in the distance, realizing that whatever nightmare Marcus dragged us into, we're trapped in it now. An hour later, I'm standing in Dante's study, a room of dark wood and leather that smells of expensive cigars and old books. He's behind a massive desk, but when I enter, he gestures to the seating area by the window instead. Less intimidating, more intimate. I don't want intimacy with this man. I want answers. Tell me everything, I say, remaining standing despite his invitation to sit. No more cryptic warnings. If my daughter is in danger, I need to know why. Dante studies me for a long moment, then nods. Your husband was a bookkeeper for the Kozlov crime family. Not a financial consultant, a bookkeeper. Meridian Financial is a front for money laundering. Marcus had access to everything. Every transaction, every account, every piece of evidence that could send Viktor Kozlov and his associates to prison for life. The words don't make sense. Can't make sense. Marcus had a degree from Wharton. He worked normal hours, came home for dinner. He was very good at playing a part. Dante's voice holds something that might be sympathy. The legitimate job was real enough, but his real value to the Kozlovs was his ability to make dirty money look clean. I sink into the chair. My legs suddenly unable to hold me. How long? 5 years. Since before you were married. The betrayal cuts deeper than I expected. Our entire marriage had been built on lies. Every conversation about his work, every dinner party with his colleagues, every reassurance that we were safe and stable, all fiction. 2 years before his death, Marcus realized he was in too deep. Dante continues. The Kozlovs were expanding into territories that would bring federal attention. He knew when the investigation came, he'd be the fall guy. So he did what desperate men do. He stole insurance. The files you mentioned, everything. Names, dates, offshore accounts, photographs of meetings that were supposed to stay secret. Dante leans forward slightly. Then he came to me, pretending to need a business loan. What he really wanted was protection from Victor's inevitable retaliation. And you agreed because of me. The words taste bitter. Something flickers in those dark eyes. I'd seen you 6 months earlier at the Hillman Gallery fundraiser. You wore a blue dress and spent 20 minutes in front of a Rothko, completely absorbed. When someone tried to talk to you, you smiled politely but returned to the painting. You weren't networking. You were actually looking at art. The memory surfaces I dragged Marcus to that event. One of the last times I'd felt connected to my abandoned dreams of museum work. I made inquiries, Dante continues quietly. Discovered you were Marcus Chun's wife, an art history graduate working as a preschool teacher to pay off his business school loans. And I wanted, he stops, choosing his words carefully. I wanted to know you. So when Marcus came to me for money, I made it conditional on an introduction. You bought access to me. The accusation hangs between us. I bought the opportunity for you to make an informed choice. His voice hardens. Which your husband denied you by taking my money and disappearing with you instead. I want to defend Marcus. To say he was protecting me. But the lies are too many. Too deep. Why didn't you just find me yourself? Because I'm not a monster, Olivia. Dante's intensity pins me in place. I wanted you to come to me willingly, not through coercion or fear. I was prepared to wait, to approach you properly after Marcus fulfilled our agreement. His jaw tightens. Then he got himself killed and you disappeared into poverty I could have prevented. The Kozlovs killed him, almost certainly. Though they made it look like a mugging. He pulls a file from his desk, sliding it across to me. Marcus was meeting with a federal prosecutor the day he died. He was going to turn state's evidence. My hands shake as I open the file. Crime scene photo. Police reports. And a document with Marcus's signature agreeing to testify in exchange for witness protection. He was going to take us into Witsec, I whisper, without telling me. He was going to destroy the Kozlovs and disappear. Dante's voice is carefully neutral, but they discovered his plan and eliminated him first. Then they discovered the files he'd stolen were missing. And they think I have them, or know where they are. Dante stands, moving to the window. In the distance, I can see Lily still at the stables, Mrs. Chun beside her. They've spent 6 months looking for you. I've spent 6 months ensuring they didn't find you first. The revelation rocks me. You've been protecting me, even before the cabin. The apartment across from yours with the men watching, those were my people, not theirs. He turns to face me. The Kozlovs found you 3 days before you ran. I was prepared to extract you safely. You just fled first. Everything I thought I understood shifts again. Why? I demand. Why go to such lengths for a woman you met once? His answer is devastating in its simplicity, because the Kozlovs killed Marcus to send a message. And they won't stop until they've eliminated everyone who might know where those files are. He pauses, letting the words sink in. Including your daughter. 3 days pass in a surreal routine I never expected. Mornings watching Lily laugh during lessons with Mrs. Chun, afternoons in Dante's library, where he's given me access to his art collection, A job cataloguing pieces that reminds me I once had dreams beyond survival. Evenings when he joins us for dinner, and I catch myself forgetting momentarily that he's a criminal. I should hate him. I should fear him. But watching Dante crouch beside Lily at the estate's pond, pointing out a family of ducks with surprising patience, I see only complexity where I expected monstrosity. The mama duck is teaching her babies to dive, he explains to Lily, his accented voice gentle. See how she shows them first, then watches to make sure they're safe. Like how mummy teaches me things, Lily observes, tossing breadcrumbs. Exactly like that. His eyes find mine across the manicured lawn, and something in his expression makes my breath catch. He's been careful with boundaries, never entering a room without knocking, never touching me without permission, never making demands. It's the restraint that undoes me more than any threat could, this powerful man gentling himself around my daughter and me. That evening, after Lily falls asleep exhausted from her day of exploring, I find Dante in his library. He's reading in a leather chair, still dressed in the crisp white shirt and dark slacks that seem to be his uniform. He looks up when I enter, closing his book. Can't sleep? He asks. I need to understand something. I move deeper into the room, trailing my fingers along book spines. First editions. Rare volumes. A collection that speaks of genuine appreciation, not just wealth. You've given us an entire floor of your house. Hired a tutor for Lily. You're respectful to the point of formality. You find this suspicious. I find it confusing. I turn to face him. You claim you've been obsessed with me for years, but you've never once pushed for more than conversation. You've saved our lives, but won't take credit. You're a criminal who reads poetry and knows about art. Dante sets his book aside, giving me his full attention. What is it you're really asking, Olivia? Why me? The question bursts out. Of all the women in the world, why fixate on someone you glimpsed once at a fundraiser? It doesn't make sense. He's quiet for a long moment, his dark eyes studying me with unsettling intensity. When he finally speaks, his voice is low, almost intimate. When I was 12, my father took me to the Hermitage Museum in St. Petersburg. There was a painting. Nothing famous, just a small landscape. But something about the way the artist captured light, a fleeting moment of perfect beauty. He pauses. I stood before that painting for an hour. 25 years later, I still remember every detail. He stands, moving closer, but maintaining that careful distance. Some things imprint themselves on you instantly, Olivia. You were such a thing. In a room full of people playing parts. You were genuinely present, radiant, and when you smiled at something Marcus said, I knew. Knew what? I whisper, unable to look away from his intensity. That you would either be my salvation or my destruction. His voice drops lower. I still don't know which. The raw honesty in his confession steals my breath. This isn't manipulation. This is truth laid bare. That's not an answer, I manage. That's obsession, he finishes for me. I'm aware of the irony. Yes. A man who controls half this city's underworld, brought to his knees by a woman who spent 20 minutes looking at a painting. He's close now, close enough that I can smell his cologne, see the faint scar at his temple, feel the heat radiating from his body. You're right to be wary of me, Olivia. I am dangerous. I have done things that would horrify you. I live by codes most people would call barbaric. His eyes search mine. But with you, I would only ever be gentle. With you, I would wait forever. My heart hammers against my ribs. Dante, you don't have to say anything. He steps back, restoring the distance between us. I just need you to know that everything I've done bringing you here, protecting you, giving you space, it's because I want your choice to be real. Not born of gratitude or fear or obligation. And what would I be choosing? The question comes out breathier than I intended. Something fierce and possessive flashes in his eyes. Me. This life. Safety for you and Lily. The freedom to pursue your interests. To be more than Marcus's widow or someone's prey. He moves to the window, looking out at the darkened grounds. I can give you everything, Olivia. Everything except the one thing I want most. What's that? He turns, and the vulnerability in his expression nearly breaks me. The certainty that you want me as much as I want you. The confession hangs between us, weighted with possibility and danger in equal measure. Before I can respond, his phone vibrates. He glances at it, and his expression shudders. The Kozlovs have made contact, he says. All business now. They want to negotiate terms for your safety. My stomach drops. When? Tomorrow. His eyes meet mine, dark and determined. And this time, Olivia, you're going to help me end this. The days blur together in ways I never expected. Each morning I wake in silk sheets and for a moment forget to be afraid. Each afternoon I lose myself in Dante's art collection, remembering what it felt like to have purpose beyond survival. Each evening I sit across from him at dinner and catch myself laughing at his dry observations about the world. I'm changing, and I'm not sure I recognize the woman in the mirror anymore. She looks less hunted, more alive. Mummy, watch. Lily calls from across Dante's library where she's been allowed to build a fort from antique cushions. I'm a princess in a castle. Very nice, baby. I smile, but my attention is drawn to Dante, who's sitting nearby with a book he's barely reading. His eyes keep finding me, tracking my movements with an intensity that should frighten me. It doesn't. You're staring, I say without looking up from the Monet sketch I'm cataloguing. I'm appreciating. His voice holds amusement. There's a difference. Heat creeps up my neck. These moments have become more frequent charged exchanges that dance around something neither of us will name. The tension between us grows with each passing day, electric and inevitable. Mrs. Chun finds me later in the hallway, carrying fresh linens. Her sharp eyes study my face with knowing perception. You seem more settled, she observes carefully. Stockholm Syndrome probably, I joked, but it falls flat. Mr. Moretti has never brought anyone here, she says quietly. In 15 years of working for him, you and your daughter are the first. This estate, it's his sanctuary. He doesn't share it lightly. The revelation unsettles me more than I want to admit. I'd assumed I was one of many women he'd collected and discarded. But Mrs. Chun's words suggest something different, that maybe his obsession with me isn't as insane as it seems. That maybe it's real. That night, I can't sleep. The weight of tomorrow's negotiation with the Kozlovs presses down on me. Mixing with confusion about my feelings for Dante, I find myself on the terrace, the city lights glittering in the distance like fallen stars. Can't sleep either. I turn to find Dante emerging from the shadows, still dressed despite the late hour. He joins me at the railing, maintaining that careful distance he always keeps. I'm scared, I admit. About tomorrow. About what happens if the Kozlovs don't accept whatever deal you're offering. They will. His certainty is absolute. I've made it very clear what the alternative would cost them. And after? The question escapes before I can stop it. After the threat is gone and Lily and I are safe, what happens then? Something shifts in his expression. That depends entirely on you. I should let it go. Should maintain the boundaries that keep this situation from becoming more complicated. But the words spill out anyway. What happens when I stop being afraid of you and start being afraid of something else entirely? What else could you be afraid of? His voice is carefully neutral, but I can feel his attention sharpening. I force myself to meet his eyes. Of how much I don't want to leave. The confession hangs between us, changing everything. Dante goes very still, as if afraid any movement might shatter this moment. Olivia, I know it's crazy, I continue, the words tumbling out now. I know you're dangerous and this world is violent and I should be planning my escape. Not, I stop, unable to finish. Not what? He's moved closer without me noticing, his voice low and intimate. Not thinking about you constantly, I whisper. Not noticing how patient you are with Lily. Not remembering how you look at me like I'm precious instead of possession. His hand rises slowly, giving me time to pull away. When I don't, his fingers brush my cheek with devastating gentleness. You are precious, he says quietly. more precious than anything I've ever wanted to keep. The touch sends electricity racing through me. I should step back, should maintain the distance that's kept us safe from this inevitable collision. But I'm tired of being afraid. Tired of denying what's been building between us since that first night at the cabin. Dante, I breathe, and his name on my lips feels like surrender and rebellion both. He leans closer, his forehead nearly touching mine. Tell me to stop, he murmurs. Tell me you don't want this, and I'll walk away. I'll never touch you again. But I can't lie. Not to him, not to myself. I don't want you to stop. The words barely leave my lips before his mouth captures mine. The kiss is everything I feared and craved, gentle yet consuming, restrained yet passionate. His hand cradles my face like I'm made of glass, even as his other arm pulls me closer with undeniable possession. When we finally break apart, both breathing hard, he rests his forehead against mine. Tomorrow, he says, his voice rough with barely controlled desire, I end the threat against you. And then, Olivia, we're going to have a very honest conversation about what this is between us. Before I can respond, his phone erupts with alerts. He pulls back, checking the screen, and his expression hardens instantly. Get inside, he orders, all gentleness vanished. Now, what's wrong? His eyes meet mine, and what I see there makes my blood run cold. The Kozlovs aren't waiting for tomorrow. They're already here. Dante moves with lethal grace, pulling me toward the house while speaking rapid commands into his phone. Security lights flood the grounds, turning night into harsh daylight. Men in dark suits materialize from shadows I didn't know existed, taking positions around the perimeter. Stay with Lily, Dante orders, guiding me through the terrace doors. Mrs. Chun is already with her. Lock the bedroom door and don't open it for anyone but me. What's happening? His jaw tightens. Motion sensors triggered at the east gate. It might be nothing, but I don't take chances with your safety. He's already moving away, gun appearing in his hand from somewhere beneath his jacket. I want to call him back to tell him to be careful, but he's gone before the words form. The next hour is agony. I sit with Lily in her room. She's somehow slept through everything while sounds filter up from below. Voices, movement, once. What might have been a gunshot, though it's too distant to be sure. When the knock finally comes, my heart stops. Olivia, it's me, Dante's voice. I unlock the door with shaking hands to find him unharmed, though his expression is grim. False alarm? I ask hopefully. Reconnaissance. They were testing our response times, mapping security positions. He glances at sleeping Lily. They're planning something, but not tonight. Come with me. I follow him downstairs to his study, needing answers. He pours himself 2 fingers of whiskey, but doesn't drink it. Just stares at the amber liquid like it holds answers. Tomorrow's negotiation just became more complicated, he says finally. They're not coming to make peace. They're coming to assess vulnerabilities. Then don't meet with them, I say. If it's a trap, it's always a trap, Olivia. He sets down the untouched glass. The question is who springs it first. The casual way he discusses deadly strategy reminds me again of what he is, what his world demands. I should be terrified. Instead, I'm angry. I'm tired of being a pawn in other people's games, I say, surprised by the fury in my voice. Marcus made me one. The Kozlovs made me one. Now you. No. Dante crosses to me in 2 strides, his intensity pinning me in place. Never you. Everything I've done has been to give you choice, Olivia. Real choice. Then let me come tomorrow. Let me face them directly. Absolutely not. It's my life they're threatening. My voice rises. My daughter! I deserve to be there when decisions are made about our future. Something shifts in his expressions, surprise, respect, desire, all flickering across those dark features. You're right, he says quietly. You do deserve that. But if anything happened to you because I allowed it, I'm not asking permission, Dante. I step closer, emboldened by adrenaline and fear and something far more dangerous. I'm telling you, I'm coming tomorrow. The air between us crackles with tension. His eyes drop to my mouth, then back up, and I see the exact moment his legendary control, begins to fracture. "You're going to be the death of me," he murmurs. "Good," I breathe, and close the final distance between us. This kiss is nothing like the one on the terrace that was testing, questioning. This is claiming. His hands tangle in my hair as he pulls me against him, and I gasp at the solid strength of his body. Every careful boundary we've maintained shatters as months of tension explode into desperate need. When he lifts me onto his desk, scattering papers, I should protest. Should remember who he is, what he's capable of. But his mouth is on my neck, and his hands are gentle, despite their urgency. And all I can think is finally, Olivia, he groans against my skin. "If you want me to stop, don't stop," I whisper, pulling him closer. "Don't you dare stop." His phone rings. We both freeze, breathing hard, still tangled together. Dante closes his eyes, visibly gathering control before reaching for the device. "What?" he snaps into the phone, his other hand still resting possessively on my hip. Whatever he hears makes his expression harden. "When?" A pause. "I'll be there in 20 minutes. He ends the call, and when his eyes meet mine, they're full of regret and something darker. The Kozlovs moved up the meeting. They want to negotiate now. Tonight. My heart sinks, right at the sudden change. Because they know about us. His thumb traces my cheekbone with devastating tenderness. "Someone's been watching, Olivia, and they've decided you're my weakness." The implication settles like ice in my stomach. "Are you?" His answer is immediate, unflinching, completely. The meeting takes place in a restaurant Dante owns, neutral ground that's anything but neutral. I sit in an adjacent room with tinted glass, able to see everything while remaining hidden. Security flanks me on both sides, their presence both protective and suffocating. Dante enters the main dining room, and I barely recognize him. Gone is the man who reads to Lily, who kisses me with restrained passion. This version of Dante Moretti is cold, calculating, every inch the mafia boss who controls half the city. He moves with predatory grace, power radiating from him like heat from a flame. Viktor Kozlov is already seated, older than I expected, grey hair and cold eyes that miss nothing. 3 men flank him, all wearing the same expression of controlled menace. "Moretti," Viktor says, his accent thick. "You're looking well. Let's dispense with pleasantries." Dante takes his seat with casual authority. "You want proof that Olivia Chun doesn't have your files. I'm providing it. She knew nothing of her husband's activities. I've verified this personally over the past 3 weeks." Personally, Victor's smile doesn't reach his eyes. "Yes, we've heard about your ... personal interest in the widow." Quite touching, really. The mockery in his tone makes my hands clench. One of Dante's men shifts slightly, but Dante himself remains perfectly still. "Mrs. Chun and her daughter are under my protection," Dante says quietly, and something in his voice makes the temperature in the room drop. "Any action against them will be considered an act of war against me personally." War. Victor leans back in his chair. Such dramatic language. "We simply want what belongs to us. Which she doesn't have. So you claim." Victor's eyes drift to the tinted glass where I sit. "But I'd like to verify this myself. Bring her in." My breath catches. Dante's jaw tightens almost imperceptibly. "That wasn't part of our agreement." "I'm making it part now." Victor's voice hardens. "Unless you have something to hide." The challenge hangs in the air. Through the glass, I watch Dante calculate options, weighing risks. His hand moves in a subtle gesture, a signal to his men. The door beside me opens. One of Dante's security team looks at me apologetically. "Mr. Moretti requests your presence, ma'am. Only if you're willing." I could refuse. Could stay hidden and safe. But I think about Lily sleeping peacefully upstairs, about the future I want for her, one without fear, without running. "I'll go," I say, surprising myself with my steady voice. The walk into that dining room is the longest of my life. Every eye turns to me as I enter. but I force myself to focus on Dante. His expression is carefully neutral, but I see the tension in his shoulders, the way his hand rests near where I know he keeps his gun. Mrs. Chun. Victor's eyes sweep over me with clinical assessment. Or should I say Mrs. Moreau? That's what you'll become, isn't it? Dante doesn't protect what he doesn't intend to keep. Heat floods my cheeks, but I hold his gaze. What I become is none of your concern. Something like amusement flickers across Victor's face. Spirit. I see the attraction. He leans forward. Tell me, did you know what your husband was? No. The truth comes easily. Marcus lied about everything. His job, his associates, the danger he brought to our door. I knew nothing until Mr. Moretti explained it to me. And you expect me to believe this innocence? I don't care what you believe. My voice strengthens. I'm a widow trying to protect my daughter. That's all I've ever been. If you want to waste resources hunting someone who can't give you what you want, that's your choice. But it won't change the truth. Victor studies me for a long moment, then looks at Dante. She's either genuinely innocent or an exceptional actress. She's innocent, Dante says, his voice like steel, and this conversation is over. You have my word that she doesn't have your files. In our world, my word means something. The two men stare at each other across the table, an entire conversation happening in silence. Finally, Victor nods. Very well. The woman and child are off limits. But Moretti, his eyes narrow. If those files ever surface, if any harm comes to my organization from information Marcus Chun stole, I'll hold you personally responsible. Understood. Dante stands, signaling the meeting's end. Olivia, let's go! His hand finds the small of my back as we exit, warm and possessive. We don't speak until we're in the car, speeding back toward the estate. You didn't have to do that, he says quietly. Face him. Yes, I did. I turn to look at him. For Lily. For myself. To stop being afraid. Something fierce and proud flashes in his eyes. You are magnificent. The adrenaline crash hits suddenly, and my hand starts shaking. Dante notices immediately, pulling me against his side. It's over, he murmurs into my hair. You're safe now. Truly safe, but as the estate comes into view, I realize something. The external threat might be gone, but an internal one remains. What do I do now that I don't need Dante's protection anymore, but want him anyway? The estate is quiet when we return, dawn just beginning to paint the sky in shades of gold and pink. Mrs. Chun meets us at the door with a report that Lily slept peacefully through the night, unaware of the negotiations that secured her future. Dante walks me to the terrace, neither of us ready to sleep, despite the exhaustion evident in every line of his body. We stand side by side, watching the sun rise over grounds that have become familiar, comfortable, safe. It's done, he says finally, his voice carefully neutral. Victor gave his word. In our world, that's binding. You and Lily are free. The word hangs between us, weighted with implications. Free, I repeat softly. I can arrange everything. He's not looking at me, his gaze fixed on the horizon. New identities, a fresh start somewhere far from here. Security from a distance, you'd never see my men, but they'd ensure no one ever threatens you again. Money, enough to finish your degree, to give Lily everything she deserves. Each word feels like a door closing. You've thought this through. I've thought of nothing else since the moment I found you. Now he turns to face me, and the vulnerability in his expression steals my breath. I told you once that I wanted your choice to be real, Olivia. Not born of gratitude or fear or necessity. The threat is eliminated. You don't need my protection anymore. So this is goodbye. The words scrape my throat raw. Only if you want it to be. His hand reaches out, then drops, as if he's afraid to touch me. But you have to understand what staying would mean. My world, my life, it's violent and complicated. You'd be choosing not just me, but everything that comes with me. The danger, the secrets, the reality that I've done things that can't be undone. I think about the woman I was 3 weeks ago, terrified, desperate, barely surviving. Then I think about who I've become in this beautiful fortress, someone who catalogues art, who laughs at dinner, who kisses dangerous men on terraces and demands to face her enemies directly. What if I want to choose you anyway? I whisper. His eyes close briefly, pain and hope warring across his features. Don't choose out of gratitude, Olivia. Don't choose because I saved you, or because Lily's happy here. Choose because when you look at me, I feel seen for the first time in my life. I interrupt, the words tumbling out. Because you remember how I take my coffee and leave art books on my nightstand. Because you're patient with my daughter and gentle with me, and somehow, impossibly, you make me feel safe instead of trapped. I step closer, forcing him to meet my eyes. Because I'm terrified of how much I want this. Want you? Not the protection or the luxury or the security, just you. Dante, the man who's been waiting for me since he saw me look at a painting. The man who gave me time to choose freely. Olivia, my name sounds like a prayer on his lips. I'm choosing you. I say, the declaration both terrifying and liberating. Not because I need your protection, but because I don't want to live without you. Because the thought of leaving makes my chest hurt. Because I don't get to finish. Dante closes the distance between us, his hands framing my face as he kisses me with an intensity that makes our previous kisses seem like practice. This is claiming, celebrating, promising all at once. When we finally break apart, both breathing hard, he rests his forehead against mine. You're certain? His voice is rough with barely restrained emotion. Because once you choose this, once you choose me, I won't let you go easily. I've waited too long, wanted too much. I'm certain. I press my palm against his chest, feeling his racing heart. I choose you, Dante Moretti. I choose this life, this risk, this impossible, terrifying love. The word slips out before I can stop it, but I don't take it back. Because it's true. Somehow, impossibly. I've fallen in love with the man who found me hiding in a cabin and taught me the difference between being trapped and being found. Say it again, he demands, his eyes blazing with fierce possession. I love you. His kiss this time is different, softer, reverent, full of promise. When he pulls back, there's something almost boyish in his smile, a glimpse of who he might have been without the weight of his world. I've loved you since I saw you in that blue dress, he confesses. Every moment since has been waiting for you to catch up. The sun has fully risen now, bathing us in golden light. In the distance, I hear Lily's voice calling for me, awake and ready for a new day. Come with me, Dante says, taking my hand. Let's tell our daughter she's home, our daughter. The words settle into my heart like they've always belonged there. 6 months later, I wake to sunlight streaming through windows I no longer think of as belonging to someone else. This is my room, my home, my life. The space beside me is empty, but I hear Dante's voice drifting up from downstairs, low, patient, responding to what sounds like Lily's endless questions. I smile, stretching in sheets that have become familiar. Comfortable, safe. The woman in the mirror is almost unrecognizable from the terrified widow, who opened a cabin door with a trembling knife in her hand. This woman's eyes are clear, her shoulders relaxed. She wears confidence like the silk robe Dante bought her, easy and natural. She looks happy. I find them in the kitchen, in casual slacks and a t-shirt that somehow still looks elegant on him. Lily perched on the counter, helping him make pancakes. Flour dusts her nose, and she's giggling at something he said. Mummy! She spots me, reaching out her arms. Papa's teaching me to flip pancakes. Papa. She started calling him that 3 months ago, tentatively at first, testing the word. Dante had frozen, something raw and vulnerable crossing his face before he crouched to her level and said quietly, I would be honored if you called me that, little one. Now it flows naturally, like it was always meant to be. Is he now? I move into Dante's space, letting him wrap an arm around my waist as he kisses my temple. And how many pancakes have ended up on the floor? Only 2, Lily announces proudly. Papa says that's excellent for a beginner. Papa is very generous with his assessments, I tease. And Dante's quiet chuckle rumbles through me. After breakfast, perfectly round pancakes that Lily insists taste better than any restaurant. We walk the grounds together. It's become our Sunday ritual, exploring the estate that grows more beautiful with each season. Lily running ahead to visit Duchess at the stables while Dante and I follow at a more sedate pace. The Hillman Gallery called again. Dante mentions casually. They're still interested in new consulting on their new acquisition. My heart skips. The job offer came last month. Part-time curatorial work that would let me use my degree while still being present for Lily. I'd been afraid to want it too much. You think I should take it? I think you should do whatever makes you happy. His hand finds mine, fingers intertwining. Though I admit, I enjoy having you catalogue my collection. You're much better company than my previous appraiser. I laugh, leaning into him. Your previous appraiser was 70 and kept falling asleep in your library. Exactly. You're a significant improvement. We reach the pond where Lily is already tossing bread to the ducks. The same spot where Dante first crouched beside her and won her trust. So much has changed since then, yet some things remain constant. His patience with her, his gentleness with me, the way he looks at us both like we're the most precious things in his world. Do you ever regret it? I ask quietly. That I stayed? That your life became more complicated? Dante stops walking, turning to face me with that intensity that still makes my breath catch. Olivia, you are the least complicated thing in my life. Everything else, the business, the negotiations, the constant vigilance, that's complicated. You? His thumb traces my cheekbone. You're the simplest truth I've ever known. Which is that from the moment I saw you, you were already mine. His voice drops lower, intimate. You just needed time to realize it. You were never safe from me, Olivia. Not from that first glimpse across a ballroom. Not when you opened that cabin door. Not in any version of our story. The possessive words should frighten me. Instead, they feel like coming home. Good, I whisper, pulling him down for a kiss. Because you were never safe from me either. You just didn't know it yet. When we break apart, Lily is watching us with the knowing expression of a child who understands more than she should. Are you going to marry Papa? She asks, startling us both. Dante's eyes meet mine, a question and a promise in their dark depths. His hand moves to his pocket, pulling out a small velvet box I didn't know he was carrying. I was waiting for the right moment, he says softly. But our daughter seems to have decided for me. The ring is perfect, simple, elegant, exactly what I would have chosen if he'd asked. Which, knowing Dante, he'd probably researched thoroughly. Olivia Chun, he says, and my name on his lips still sounds like music. Will you let me spend the rest of my life proving that you made the right choice? That this dangerous man can be worthy of you? Tears blur my vision as I nod, unable to speak past the emotion clogging my throat. He slides the ring onto my finger. A perfect fit, of course, and kisses me while Lily cheers. I love you, I finally manage. My salvation and my destruction. Both, he agrees, pulling me close. Always both, and standing there in the morning sun, surrounded by beauty and safety and love I never thought I'd find. I realize the truth. I'm not trapped in a golden cage. I'm finally, impossibly, wonderfully free.